All right, I want to talk about a cool new feature that allows an AI agent to actually call a recipient who's scheduled a meeting with your team. And if they no-show, not just handle the initial follow-up if they no-show, but actually aggressively try to get them to rebook with multiple different attempts in order to do so. Plus, if they do answer, this AI meeting taker will take the meeting and transfer them to a human. And so it does what a human would normally do when someone schedules a meeting, where they show up and or do all the legwork to follow up. So long story short, I've got a campaign ready to go. Anytime someone books a meeting inside of a Pitchit workflow or broadcast campaign, I have an AI agent that calls them at that booked time. Now, this is just a dummy account, but what I'm showing here is an example that I think is pretty fair of what you would want it to look like in your account, where you've got the initial broadcaster workflow campaign that's driving conversations, and then you've got a second line item of a workflow campaign where you're actually outbound dialing the people who book a meeting. And so in this use case, 4 people were added to the workflow and 2 of them booked. And so this is a good example of like a 50% drop off in the workflow, and then the AI handles the meeting booking of those who made it through your funnel. Now, in broadcast, if you do load a file as your way of starting conversations, then you'd have it split, where you'd have like the campaign that drives the conversation in broadcast, and then you'd have the workflow that takes any meeting that gets booked from them. And it would not show 2 campaigns here. It would actually show 1 in workflow and 1 in broadcast. But regardless of how you choose to drive the conversations, we have plenty of videos on how to build broadcast and workflow campaigns. Today, I'm just going to talk about how you can hook up an AI meeting taker to any scheduled calls. So head over to your contact card here, and then go over to integrations. What you're going to do is copy your Zapier API key and just hold on to it. Then we're going to go over to Zapier, and we are going to choose to create a new Zap. It'll be blank slate like this. In the trigger section, choose Pitchit, the most recent version, and the event is that someone has booked a meeting. Sync into your account, so log into your account, it'll connect it, and then it'll bring you back to here. I already have some options available, so I'm just going to select one that I've hooked up in the past, and then go to continue. In the configure section, it's just saying which campaign did this meeting come from. Now there's 2 options. You can select all campaigns, which means every campaign, broadcast, or workflow that happens inside of your Pitchit account under this user ID, right? I want the same AI agent to call every person who books a meeting. And that might be your goal. In today's video, that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to make it complicated. I'm just going to select all. But let's say that you only have like 1 campaign or 2 campaigns that you want this particular workflow to outbound dial on. That might make sense if you're selling T-Mobile, and in your greeting you say we're a T-Mobile authorized dealer. In that case, you would want the T-Mobile campaign that got meetings booked to buy T-Mobile to start with an outbound disclosure that says this is your T-Mobile authorized dealer. And so in this particular situation, if that is what you're in, you would want to choose a specific campaign where the meeting is getting booked, and then have a specific workflow waiting just for T-Mobile leads. But I'm not going to get into that today. I'm just going to choose all campaigns going to the same outbound AI meeting taker workflow, because again, it's just more simple. But if you do have specific ones, all you have to do is redo this video as many times as you need to until there's a dedicated meeting taker for each of your broadcast or workflow campaigns. More complicated and time consuming, but it's the same actual steps, just on repeat. And you can duplicate this Zap once it's done, so that the next time you build the Zap, you can finish it in like 5 seconds by just changing the configuration campaign from the tabs. So we're going to test this trigger. It's going to pull in, usually it pulls in John Wick. There's my boy John Wick, test meeting. Go to continue. You're going to choose delay as your Zap action. And in this case, I'm going to say delay until. So delay until, and in configuration, I'm going to click this plus button on the right. And I'm going to map the meeting date and time of the person who booked the meeting in Pitchit as the time we're delaying until. Click test. It's going to say it was probably in the past. That's fine. Just say skip test if that's what it says. And don't publish it yet, because we have one more step. We're going to add a step, and we're going to choose Pitchit again. So we've got a Pitchit trigger, we've got a Zapier delay, and then we've got a Pitchit event action. In my action event, I'm going to choose add lead to a campaign. It should pull in the account that you've already synced. You can change that if you need to. Go to continue. And this is where I'll configure the workflow that needs to be taking these outbound calls. And so I had one waiting called the AI Meeting Taker. And I'm going to choose it here. And then I'm just going to map from the meeting book event. I'm going to click this button here, the arrow. And I'm going to map first name. I'm going to map last name. I'm going to map email. I'm going to map phone number. I think that's the only ones that matter for this campaign. I'm going to click continue. And then I would hit test, right? Once you test it, it's going to actually send a lead to the campaign. In this example, it would go from 2 to 3. And that's how you know it's working, is that it's actually sending it. Once you can get it to do that, go ahead and click publish up in the top right. It won't do that until I click test, but I'm going to skip the test and just publish. You're good to go. Heading back over to Pitchit, what you might be wondering is, what should the workflow say? So I'm going to build a dummy campaign right now on AI Meeting Taker. We're going to call it example. Here's a pretty standard pitch. Schedule a call for us to speak with you. Let's do, yeah, this is good. This is the utility agent at Pitchit. You scheduled a call for us to speak at this time. We just tried calling but couldn't reach you. What time and day are you free to schedule, right? This is a pretty standard topic. Now, if you don't want the content to say we tried to call but didn't reach you, like maybe this workflow is the very first call that goes out in the scheduled meeting, which in this case it is, we're going to say we're calling, right? So we're calling now to help you find the best internet for your current needs. Are you free to speak to a live agent, or is there a better time for us to call back? This is pretty good copy. You've got your disclosure of who you are, of why you're calling, and of your call to action. You might want to say also that it's a recorded line. This is utility agent at Pitchit speaking on a recorded line. Right, that's another thing to keep you safe depending on the state you're outbounding into. Go to next step. You can do the meeting booking AI Meeting Taker step here inside of Pitchit. You could like create the Zapier, but I was creating it inside of Zapier all the same. It doesn't really matter which one you pick, but once you've created it, you can go back to the step and you can actually select it. So we could, I think we called this one Untitled. Yeah, it's, let's see. Oh, it's this one. So I could like select it, right? At which point it's going to pull it up and it's going to ask me to publish it. And once I publish it, then I can go to the next step and I can choose voice. So my advice on AI Meeting Takers is I would do voice, SMS, email, and WhatsApp if you've got WhatsApp hooked up. I would turn the transfer to human and the scheduling appointment option on voice, because again, your copy here is that they scheduled a meeting. You're calling them now to help them find what they wanted. And if they are free to speak to a live agent now, right, then we've now allowed the agent to transfer them human. So if they say, yeah, I can speak now, it will transfer them. But you're also telling them, if you're not free, is there a better time for a callback? And so tick the box for schedule appointment, just in case that prompt, that call to action prompt, leads to the recipient saying, you know, I filled out the form right now, but I can't actually have a 30-minute conversation with a live agent to buy internet. Fine. Allow them to schedule an appointment, and they will book it for the future. Put in your transfer number if you've selected transfer, and don't forget your international code. So international code +1 925 202 4953. That's my transfer number, and this is my international code right here. That one's done, but this is the part I like about the AI Meeting Taker. If they don't answer the phone, your copy can change to something like this. Hi, this is the utility agent at Pitchit. You scheduled a call for us to speak at this time. We just tried calling but couldn't reach you. So basically, they're getting the text only because they didn't answer the phone and you left a voicemail. What day and time are you free to reschedule? This would be very effective at getting people to say, yeah, I didn't answer because I'm busy, but can you call me tomorrow at 9? And then the AI agent, if you turn calendar booking on, it will actually book a meeting for tomorrow at 9. And then this same exact workflow that made the initial dial on the callback is also going to make the dial on the second scheduled meeting. And so it has rescheduled a no-call, no-show and done the AI meeting taker for both. Email, same concept, reschedule. Meeting, you can put your copy in your subject. You can put similar copy, just bottom line write it so it looks more like an email, right? So like a greeting, call to action, separated from the body. You're good to go. Go to next, and this is where you choose follow-ups. Now, follow-ups in this context I think is really cool because what this means is if they didn't answer the phone or reply to any of the texts, that's a no-call, no-show that never rebooked. So a human, their job would be, well, I got to go get them rescheduled. But with an AI agent, the same AI agent that takes these calls could also do the legwork to follow up with them multiple times. You tell us the time and day, the number of follow-up attempts, let's say 5, and then the number of times per day they can do it. And in this example, just following up about, I think I've got some copy on this. Yeah. Are you still interested in shopping for better phone, internet, and utility providers? That's a solid follow-up if they don't answer. And then the voice, it has the same disclosure as before, right? So you want to keep that disclosure the same so that you don't ever miss your disclosures about recorded lines, who you are, why you're calling, whatever, right? So long story short, the follow-up attempts in this example would go out Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or a Friday between 9 and 5 p.m. only if someone did not show up to the original booked meeting and that they'd never replied to the text email and they never answered the phone at the time that they said they'd be free to talk. In this case, the very next day, if this lead had a meeting booked on a Wednesday, for example, on Thursday, they would get the first follow-ups. And we have 5 total, but no more than 3 per day. So on Thursday, if the lead started and booked a meeting on Wednesday and no-showed it, on Thursday, the first 3 follow-up attempts of 5 will go out, spread throughout the day, with about 4 hours in between. And then on Friday, the final 2 follow-ups, so original attempt, follow-up attempt 1, 2, 3, follow-up attempt 4 and 5 will go out on Friday, starting at 9, but before 5 p.m. All 3 would go out. That's how this would go. You would hit Pitchit, and now this Zapier that we created in the last step being published, with this workflow campaign being published, would effectively launch this AI agent with meeting taking capabilities as well as all the follow-up for no-call, no-show, rescheduling, and callback, kind of like second swing activities, right? So end-to-end, that is effectively how you do it. There's only one thing you need to do or you'll get stuck at the very beginning. You do need to make sure, if you click your name on the bottom left, that you've enabled voice as a channel. So you click connections and choose voice. And if you have it, it'll say activated. If you don't have it, there'll be a button here that asks you to link one. I have another video on creating voice channels that you can watch to show you how to do that, but it's pretty straightforward. You just click the button and now it's activated. And then you can go into build the workflow campaign for AI meeting takers. One more important thing, AI meeting taker campaigns cannot be done on a broadcast because a broadcast takes a file of people and it contacts them all right away. A workflow contacts people at a specific moment in time, which is what a meeting taker does. This meeting was for tomorrow at 9. I can't call them right now in a broadcast campaign. I want to call them tomorrow at 9 a.m. when they booked their original call. So that is how you would build it, is you'd build it in the workflow campaign type. Anyways, end-to-end, that's how you do it. Thanks for watching.